Hey everybody, Seth with Everyman Prepping here. And boy, do those news stories just keep coming. The news cycle is like 12 hours now. New things happening, new things with the war, financial, you name it, things are escalating, getting worse by the day. And I could come on here every day and give you an update on news stories. And a lot of the bigger channels in the prepping community can do that because, well, their main job is YouTube now and they make a lot of the money off it. I unfortunately still have a regular job, kids, all that stuff, work-life commitments. And most importantly, which is probably important to you guys, I do my prep work and everything. Like this weekend, I don't know about you guys, I took some good weather chance and I was out there pruning the fruit trees, getting into the berry fields, cleaning those up, the strawberries, fertilizing, working on the chicken coop a little bit, getting ready for springtime. So hopefully you guys are doing that. I didn't have time to get to videos because I was, like I said, getting ready for what's going to come. Because as you look at all these news stories, you get that sense that you need to be ready sooner rather than later. So I did find time today. I went through, I got 4 or 5 stories now that I think I want to highlight to everybody. So, on your busy day, you can check it out. So let's get into those right now. As we do, if you want to go ahead and hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Share, comment, subscribe to the channel, all that great stuff. But let's start off here with one of the most important things, and that's Sweden just voted in to NATO. Basically, they were the last country that needed to take a vote was Hungary, and their parliament approved it today, so I'm sure their president will sign off on it. They'll be the 32nd member of NATO, and as we know in the world, numerology means a lot. They're at 32 members right now. They, just said yesterday they want Ukraine in there, which will give them 33. The elites, kind of the power is that be, they love the number 33. You'll find 33 in a lot of stuff, and well, if you add Ukraine in there, they'll be at that 33 number. But more importantly, got another member of NATO joining, expanding. It's kind of why Russia said they went into Ukraine to stop the expansion, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So sure, Russia knew this was coming. They knew it was going to happen eventually, but now it's happened. So we shall see where this goes from here. Will they try to get Ukraine in there now? Now that they got the 32, I don't think they can get it. It has to be unanimous. All 32 nations have to vote for the next member. And I don't think you're going to do that with Ukraine. So the next thing I think we have to watch out for is for NATO to change their rules to say, well, maybe if we only have half or 51% or the founding members of NATO vote in a country, it's good. And then the new people can join. So I would look for that to happen because I don't think there's any way they can get a unanimous decision for Ukraine coming in because they know that'll pretty much be the end. And, we're going to go into nuclear war right after that. But this just happened, so that's a big step, something for us to watch out for. And then we have this. The Slovakian Prime Minister says some Western states, countries in the West, are considering bilateral deals to send troops to Ukraine. So bilateral means, Ukraine agrees with it and the country agrees with it. It's just not the other country sending troops unasked for. So, bilateral means they both agree to it. So there's the gentleman himself. What's his name here? Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. He said that on Monday. He said, several NATO and European Union members are considering sending soldiers to Ukraine on a bilateral basis. The French President Macron, he said that he's looking at doing that because at all costs, they have to stop Russia. Italy signed a bilateral security agreement. So has France. They've already done that. So this is how NATO is going to get around invoking Article 5 and causing basically World War III and nuclear war, is they're not going to say that NATO is going into Ukraine. They're going to say these individual countries are going to go into Ukraine to help them, not as a NATO entry into that country, as their own independent decision. So you'll see UK, you'll see Poland, you'll see France and Italy. They'll be sending troops in there, but not under NATO's rule, under their own decision. That way you can't say we need to induce Article 5 when Russia eventually kills some of these foreign soldiers. And you can probably guess that the United States is going to end up sending people there. If we already don't have them there kind of in a clandestine, secret way, mercenary type role, black ops, because I think they're working a lot of their air defense right now. And I think that's why you've seen so many planes shot down, so many Russian jets being shot down. I think they've kind of brought in some American crews or NATO crews to work the Patriot systems to kind of down these fighter planes. That's just thought I'm having. The article goes on to say, I cannot say for what purpose and what they should be doing there. Now, I have an idea on that. I think they're going to be to backfill the Ukrainians along the Belarus border, maybe on the western part of Ukraine, around Lviv and all that. And that way they can pull all those Ukrainian troops out of there and put them to the front lines, where Russia's making big advances every day. They took Advika. They're going to go to the next town. I can't remember what it is. They're advancing, and when spring's hit, they're going to turn it up full speed, I think, and go even further. So by sending these NATO/non-NATO countries in there, not non-NATO, but NATO approved, they can backfill the western, northern, by Belarus, borders, free up those troops, and they can go to the front lines. We'll see that happens. F-16s are coming in soon. That's going to escalate, but let's see how that goes on from there. So now switching over into the Red Sea, we have this. Remember this? So this is from February 5th of this year, not too long ago, a few weeks. But like I said, the news cycle is so short these days and so condensed. It seems like longer than that. But basically, the Houthis were, saying they're going to destroy the underground telecom cables as part of their attacks against, the West. It says Yemen government, this is back there, I'm just going to read it to you really quick so you can see what they said. Yemen government said that the UN recognized that the Yemeni government said they fear that the Houthi rebels are planning to sabotage a network of submarine cables in the Red Sea that are critical to the functioning of the Western internet and transmission of financial data. This is a picture of one of those cables. It says there's maps of the international cables connecting all regions of the world through the sea. It seems that Yemen is in a strategic location as internet lines that connect entire continents, not only countries, pass near it. So that's what they were saying. That February 5th, they're saying it could happen. This is a map of these cables. You can see Yemen right here in the lower left corner, kind of middle left. There's Djibouti, a treaty, Somalia over here, Ethiopia. But all these cables, they do go through this tiny, tiny little area where it's really condensed. And if you took those out, yeah, you're going to disconnect a lot of people. And wouldn't you know, we have this report today. At least one subsea fiber cable damaged in the Red Sea. Some reports blame the Houthi rebels. So did they, act on their threats? Did they actually go through and do it? There's reports both ways, but, there seems to be some trouble down there, and they're saying the Houthis might have done it. As it says here, that several subsea cables have reported been damaged off the coast of Yemen, with some press suggesting the terrorists are to blame. Terrorists, they mean the Yemenis or the Houthis. It's the Israeli press, the Jerusalem Post, who kind of can be a little exaggerative, kind of, like CNN of the world, basically. They suggest that 4 cables, the AA1, the CCOM, the Europe-India Gateway, and the TGN systems, have been damaged in the Red Sea off the coast of Yemen. And they're blaming, the Yemenis rebels. If you went to this net blocks, you can see this is the Djibouti network connectivity. They did have some down and ups, but then it went back up after midnight. So did it really happen? Did it not? Was it just damaged? These cables also just get damaged over time on the seafloor, ocean movements, water penetration, things like that. So don't know if it really happened or not. If the Houthis did it, I don't think they're claiming. As of making this video, I haven't heard that they've claimed that they've done this, but just be prepared for this. Imagine that just a few days ago we had that solar flare / hacking / incompetent person doing a new rollout that screwed up the AT&T network and Verizon and U.S. Cellular, a whole bunch. 70,000 plus people without their cell phones, and people were freaking out. They were pissed. They were mad. They didn't know what to do. That was just 70,000. Now imagine, if this is a trial run, they're messing with the cables over there to see how it reacts, how hard it is, what they need to do they need to improve? And then, let's say they pull the West Coast cables or the East Coast cables around the United States. How do you think people are going to react? Well, like I said, when, we had that downage just last week, make sure you have your backup connectivity, your commo plan, whether it's, ham radio, shortwave radio, landline, have a way to communicate with those you need to communicate, your loved ones, your family, your group, whatever. But expect this to happen. It's happening. It looks like it might be happening there. We haven't gotten confirmation, but that's just a heads up for us all to be mindful of our own, back here in the United States, or if you're in Europe or UK. I know we have listeners out there. Just be mindful of how fragile it is, and you need to have a backup. Moving on from there, let's go with one last domestic story here. And we have FedEx's warning of higher costs under trucker rest break waivers. So there's federal rules that say how long a trucker can drive before he needs a rest. Well, it seems that California, of course, because they're so great at screwing things up, California and Washington have passed laws to give truckers more breaks, which, FedEx is saying, hey, That's going to cost us more. Things are going to take longer. Shipping's going up, and might not be as many options. If you have a company in California to ship things to and from, or if you're just a person wanting to get something delivered, you might be paying more. So yay, more inflation, right? So really quickly, this says FedEx Corp predicts higher costs on its line haul and delivery routes, as well as those of rivals, if the Biden administration approves waivers governing truck driver meal and rest breaks in California and Washington. So to break it down really quick, in California, truck drivers must be provided a 30-minute meal break if they work more than 5 hours in a day, and drivers who work a shift at 10 hours or more get another 30-minute break. And then they're also entitled to a 10-minute break for every 4 hours that they drive. So that's the California. That's a lot of breaks. We got 2 30s and a couple 10s in there for a 10-hour day. Well, the federal rule requires that you only get a 30-minute break after 8 hours of driving, and it can be allowed on duty or not driving period to qualify for this break. So your break can be after you're done driving. It doesn't have to be in the middle, where the California one's in the middle. So you can see how this would take more time. They got to pay people more. You got to pay for the break. So once again, the cost might go up in California and Washington, where there's giant ports, lots of ports, a lot of goods coming in. They got to truck them out of there. And why they're driving through California, to and from, well, you're going to be more expensive. Your thing's going to cost more. So thanks for California for trying this. Now, it hasn't been approved. Biden's administration still needs to approve it. We'll see what they do. But, just keep track on there about the, inflation going up and everything, what we have here at the home front. And then lastly, I just touched on this really briefly. We had the tragic incident of that U.S. Air Force active duty member that, set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy as a protest. But why I want to, horrible event, tragic. I don't know what's going through that young man's mind when this was, happened. I don't know what it was that he was so calm and so matter of fact about it. It was very odd. It was very, so to watch it was very, I don't know what you want to say, just to say disturbing how calm, not even nervous about doing it, just straightforward, boom, boom, I'm going to do it. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But as kind of the sign of the times, we have, he's over here, it's blocked out. He's already on fire. We have one person putting out the fire. But before, the first person to show up was this person. I don't know if this was an Israeli bodyguard, if this was a off-duty cop or undercover or regular police. But think of it as the symbolism of the government, of the powers that be. So you have a soldier, civilian on fire, whether it be soldier or civilian, doesn't matter. And he's the first to show up before anybody else with the fire extinguisher. And he's demanding, get down, lay down. This dude's on fire. He's not a threat. He's not going to hurt anything. But instead of rendering aid, helping out, trying to put him out, it was point the weapon at him, threaten him, and tell him, to surrender without any. The first person to show up didn't come until this gentleman came with the fire extinguisher, and he needed more help. This guy wasn't budging. So I see this as a kind of a sign of the times. You have us, the general public, metaphorically on fire, whether it be through controls, inflation, laws, regulations, you name it. And then you have the government here basically not helping at all and basically pointing a weapon at us saying, kneel to us. So I just thought this picture basically a sign of the times of what's going on. Unfortunately, that gentleman did pass away, and maybe we'll find out more of what made him do that. But I just want to put that at the very end. Put your thoughts below what you thought about that or anything I brought up during this. That's all I have for you today. Like I said, hopefully you're out there banging out some preps, getting ready, because like I said, every day I can come out with these stories, and I'll try to do it as often as I can, but it's not slowing down, and it's not changing anytime soon. And, you can talk about China and what they've been up to and their incursions over Taiwan. Oh, by the way, that balloon. Everybody forgot about that balloon, the one that flew over, and the United States says it's no big deal, don't worry about it. Yeah, most people forgot about that already. So, like I said, that's all I have for you. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.